It was everywhere.
I'm happy with what happened because I think if it would have been so easy, the song wouldn't have been so big, and I wouldn't have kind of made that next step into crossover success like I did.
Coming up, LeAnn loses trust in those closest to her.
She made $7 million between the years 1996 and 1999, but her father made $11 million.
And later, Prince Charming comes to the rescue.
I just saw so many people pulling her in so many different directions, and her head was spinning.
When CMT Inside Fame returns. How Do I Live had given LeAnn Rimes her first taste of real crossover success. It had also given the 15-year-old her first exposure to the hardball realities of the business. Although she had emerged the big winner in the head-to-head sales battle with Trisha Yearwood, the experience left her disillusioned with both her career and her life.
I was sick of having to work all the time and being on a schedule, and I was just done. I was just over it. After 500 shows, I mean, kind of over it. I felt like a robot on stage.
Artistically, she's just really out there, just kind of floating. Nothing really seemed to lock her into an image that was all her own. It all seemed to be kind of somebody else's.
In the middle of building a new home in Nashville, LeAnn abruptly stopped the project. She wanted out of Nashville and convinced her mother to move with her to Los Angeles to broaden her horizons.
I think once How Do I Live crossed over to pop, I think that gave her that little edge of, I'd like to see what that's about.
I really wanted to get away and meet new people and try to do something that was kind of out of character a little bit for me, as far as being the country girl, and I wanted to find another world and see what else was out there. I had the lavish life of a 16, 17-year-old young woman who had a lot of money and enjoyed it.
She and I got on a plane and we went to Los Angeles, and her house was just darling.
Swimming pool, guest quarters, huge kitchen. Of course, you can't cook.
LeAnn's independent new life also included acting lessons, yoga, and a new beau, 19-year-old actor Andrew Keegan.
LeAnn Rimes is in the house. Hi, I'm Andrew Keegan, and you're about to...
Father and manager Wilbur, living back in Nashville, was not pleased.
Wilbur hit the roof because he saw his control, this career he had built, slipping away from his hands.
So Andrew, how about if I change into something a little bit more comfortable and come up and join you for all the action?
Sounds good to me.
My dad didn't like him at all. We went through, my dad just did not. My dad didn't like anyone older than me. I think it was just an overprotect. It's just a fatherly thing.
You want a what?
Wilbur begins to write these angry letters to LeAnn about what is going to happen if she stays with this teenage actor boyfriend.
You give a 13-year-old $20 million, it creates tension.
She buys herself a $350,000 Bentley. She buys Andrew, her boyfriend, a $125,000 Ferrari. She buys Andrew's mother a car to drive.
If I wanted to buy something, I had to call my dad because my dad was still in control of my money. So my dad had to say yes. So that's what people didn't realize, is that if I bought a Ferrari, Dad had to say okay.
Despite the warnings from Wilbur, LeAnn's relationship with Keegan continued.
Andrew, who grew up in the show business world, says to LeAnn, do you know how much money you're making?
Well, she really didn't pay much attention to her business affairs. She knew that she made a lot of money.
He says, do you know what your father's taking as part of his management fee? And she says, I don't know.
I was realizing how much was going out and where I didn't know where it was going, and I was very confused about the whole situation.
So she uses Andrew's lawyer to send a letter to her own father saying, I'd like to see the books of my own company, LeAnn Rimes Entertainment. He sends a letter back and says, you will not see anything with that boyfriend and his lawyer. I'll show you the books alone.
I was not gonna let anyone run over me, and I wasn't gonna let anyone tell me what I had to do, because people had been telling me what I had to do for years.
Partly in desperation, and partly to call Wilbur's bluff, LeAnn sued her father and his partner, Lyle Walker, in the Dallas District Court on May 2nd, 2000.
Well, she found out he was getting 30% of her income as a co-manager, another 30% of her record sales, and an additional 10% for being her legal guardian.
So he is triple dipping off of her income. LeAnn learns that she made $7 million between the years 1996 and 1999. But her father made $11 million, and her father's partner, Lyle Walker, as co-manager, made $5.5 million.
It was really very hurtful.
She did not know who she could trust, and the people that loved her, with the exception of her mother, it all seemed they had ulterior motives.
You don't know who to trust. You can't trust yourself. You can't trust anybody. You just can't.
She sent a letter to Wilbur saying she wanted a new management team and she would not accept any more deals, endorsements, concerts from him until the new management team was in place.
For her to be so mad at her father that she would do that, I think that was sad.
It was devastating. You know, you just don't want to deal with that.
She even turned down a $1 million perfume ad campaign.
My father and I are both stubborn people, and it was just a hard-headedness between both of us.
Lyle Walker quickly and quietly settled with LeAnn out of court.
Then Wilbur fired back in a very mean-spirited lawsuit that told some things in print that a father should never say about his daughter.
Accusing her of being almost this kind of trashy, vixenish teenager sleeping around with television actors, that she was drinking, that she was using a credit card to buy liquor.
And at that point in her career, her music was really being overshadowed by all these lawsuits. All everybody talked about was who was suing who and who was going to win. No one talked about her music.
Lost in the flurry of lawsuits, accusations, and tabloid scandal was the genuine struggle of an artist trying to find her voice. After the release of 2 more CDs to mixed reviews and declining sales, LeAnn was earnestly seeking to evolve from child star to mature artist.
I totally changed personally, the way my appearance is, mentally, my music has changed. There's so many things that have changed about me. I'm a totally different LeAnn.
When she moved to LA and the body started being chiseled, and you know, again, you can put it out there more, and she should, and she did. And that's when they started doing those videos where she is just amazing.
Life goes on, and it's only gonna make me strong. It's a fact. Once you get on board, say goodbye, 'cause you can't go back.
People will never let me forget that I was 13 starting out, but they will always forget the fact that I still had a mind, and I was changing, and I wasn't an adult, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do.
What LeAnn wanted was to gain control of her own career. With the lawsuit against her father still pending, she began inquiring into her record deal.
She has her lawyer look at her contract with Curb Records.
Well, LeAnn found out that her parents had obligated her to Curb Records well into her 20s.
So she files another lawsuit against Curb.
Well, lawsuits did start flying, and you know what? There was valid reasons for that too.
Curb legally had her for as many as 21 albums before she had the right to go look for a better deal with another record company.
You get a deal with Curb, you don't get out.
She not only is furious at her father for getting most of her income, she is furious that she signed this contract with Curb.
I was in court the day that she was trying to get out of her contract she'd signed when she was 12 years old.
When a Nashville judge ruled in Curb's favor, a frustrated LeAnn reacted.
He's ruling against her, and she starts crying.
LeAnn was so distraught that she stands up and in this one sort of flamboyantly dramatic moment,
turns around to her father and sort of mouths the words, "I hate you."
And it's this sort of ultimate scene in the great family fight.
It was a war of just stubbornness and just people not wanting to give in about stupid things. And so it just happened.
Well, the next day, she cleared up the outburst. She told Access Hollywood that she didn't really hate her father, she just hated the situation.
Exhausted and discouraged, LeAnn decided to redirect her anger toward her record deal with Curb.
And LeAnn was so angry at Curb that she stopped recording. Curb took some mixes she had already made and not put on her previous albums, cobbled them together, and put out an album without her permission. LeAnn was so angry that she gets on the Jay Leno show and tells people not to buy the album.
I went on Leno and I was like, this is not me. And I think I needed to say that this is not completely me as an artist.
Mike Curb was not going to back down. He was not going to let her out of the contract, but he kept trying to smooth the waters because he knew that this was going to eventually end.
We never filed any kind of a lawsuit against her. What we tried to do was keep the lines of communications open.